I said, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Yeah, sorry, it's a little bit of a delay.
Okay. Well, I said good morning to you, and you told me good afternoon, right? What time is it for you?
Right. Here is 4 p.m.
Nice. Man, I'm glad to be on
Mhm.
this call with you, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, likewise.
I don't think people realize how long it's been, or any backstory. Would you like to provide that backstory? Would you like me to do it, man? Because I think that you have a greater sense of humor, man.
Okay, yeah, I could give the backstory. Yeah, so we went to college together in Miami, and we were both communication majors. And and so it's been a while. I'm surprised how long it's been. Yeah, it's been at
Absolutely.
least like 20 something years, has it been?
If my estimation is correct, I believe 19 years. Because it had to be I think 2006 maybe, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 2003.
Yeah, 2003, because I finished in 2003.
Yeah. So it's been
Yeah.
about 22 years now.
Ooh, ooh.
Yes. So let me give a little backstory, man. We wanted to
Mhm.
say this for definitely for the live, but um, do you remember? Of course, you remember that we actually decided that we was going to create a sign or multiple signs and
Mhm.
put it out there to the world on everybody on 183rd Street and 27th Avenue that we were trying to get to Africa.
Yeah, that's right. We did some fundraising.
Yes. And if
Mhm.
my estimation is correct, I had to be in 2003. I was nothing but 19 years old, man.
Yeah, I think I was like 20, 21, something like that.
Correct, correct. Because you were definitely an upperclassman, man. But I wanted to hang
Right.
around. I wanted to hang around the number one hustler of the year. You
Yeah.
know, you know.
Yeah.
And I hope that don't come with a bad connotation. But one thing that I loved about you, man, you always had a knack to survive. And
Yeah.
another quick story. I remember it was early February, and you had an idea that for us to get some cash, especially since we was communication majors, that we was going to borrow
Mhm.
the camera from the library or the communication department,
Right.
and go and ask guys, do they want to actually um post a telegram video for their girlfriend for
Mhm.
Valentine's Day, and we
Yeah.
actually made money doing that, man.
Yep. Yeah, we were before our time. Like I kept saying, like if we had YouTube back then, man, we would have been on it.
Yeah, I think that we would have definitely been like Mr. Beast or
I remember I even started a back then. I started a TV show um, at the college. And it started like just like we're playing in the cafeteria,
yes.
and I wanted to just do like interviews and stuff like that on the street. And then it actually got on WLRN.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so it's yeah. So I was saying like, man, like YouTube back then would have been perfect. It was right up my alley.
Yes. And so the ironic thing about life is, right? I end up going because we were both communication majors, but I end up going to a career of journalism, right? So I work for the Miami Times, I work for the Miami Herald, I work for ESPN. I decided to start my own media company. And you, what did you do, man? Once you got that diploma and walked across that stage, what happened? Could
I,
you?
I sorry, I couldn't hear that last part. It kind of
Oh, but
distorted.
when you got that diploma and you walked across the stage, it seemed like you had different ideas, didn't you?
Yeah, it's funny what ended up happening. I actually, it's funny because the fundraising we did.
Yes.
I actually did go to Africa, and I went. I did a study abroad with North Carolina State, and the crazy thing was like I was never the same. Like when I ended up going to Ghana, and I had so much fun, and I didn't realize till I got back, and I was like, man, like that's what I want.
Hmm.
So that really brought me to Africa. I ended up going. I went to Ghana initially. That was like 2003,
Hmm.
and then a year later, I ended up going back. So I ended up going. I just end up getting just a plane ticket, like a one-way ticket, and I end up going to London. I went to Ghana, and I went to Ethiopia.
Well, I never knew that. And so when we did
Yeah,
the fundraising, you went to Ghana,
yeah. I ended up
London.
going to Ghana.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
wow. And so, what made you make that decision, and what did you do once you got to Ghana?
Well, like one of the reasons why, because I was interested in Ethiopia. I think just being like in California, there's a lot of restaurants and the culture seemed pretty interesting. But Ghana had a study abroad, like more like your study abroad opportunities were more like in Ghana. So that's what kind of helped me gravitate there, just because they had the infrastructure, the program. And so that brought me to Ghana, and I just had so much fun. I end up, I learned when you go as a group, sometimes there's advantages and disadvantages. The thing about it is, like sometimes when you get there, you may find that it's not as scary after all. Some people think, oh, when I travel, oh, you got to go to group, you want to go to a tour group, or something like that. And I found like as soon as I got there, I'm like, I kind of wanted my own plans and I started going, they're like, oh, they got this party or something going on. And there's like, no, 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 the group, we're going to the bead village. I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't want to go to a bead
yeah.
village, man. They got a party, right? So, I learned that you could adjust. It's not
Okay,
so hard to adjust once you get there. And then also when you when you go by yourself, it's not so scary, and then you kind of have the freedom to move around.
okay. And I think we lost your reception. Okay. Hmm.
So yeah,
No, it was a little lag between us, and just for the people that join, man,
sure.
introduce yourself again, brother. Your name and where you currently at,
Yeah,
man.
sure. So I'm my YouTube name is Expat D, and my name is Derek, and I'm currently I'm in Kuwait. So I'm in the Middle East. I'm originally from the States. I'm originally from California, but I spent 10 years in Miami. That's how we know each other. Um, so yeah, it's I was just talking about what brought me initially to Africa, and basically what happened was once I went there a second time. This time I went and I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I stay in Africa? Because I liked it. I was, when I'm coming back, I was like, I had so much fun. I didn't realize it until I got back. I was like, man, that's what I want. It was just more social. It was fun. It was like a kind of like a block party.
I know a lot of
Like
people. I know a lot of people,
yeah,
especially black people that's from the diaspora. They say that once they touch ground in Africa, they feel like they're home, right? Like it been
yeah.
something that they missed their entire life. Is that how you felt?
Mhm. Yeah, so it's funny because that has some truth to it. It almost felt like being at your grandmother's house. Kind of had that it had a feel like it did. They're not lying. Where it has a familiar vibe. So that was fun, just experiencing that. And so like I was saying, we were like when I went back to Africa, I was trying to figure out a way. So like, how can I stay? And that's really what got me more interested in teaching. And so like initially, like my mom, she worked in the school system. And so I kind of gravitated, I started subbing and doing little stuff here and there. I wasn't originally an education major, but what really got me into it was first I ended up going back to Ethiopia and I got a teaching job. But the thing is, once I realized how much you can make as a certified teacher, I went there. So basically, when it comes to teaching abroad, there's levels to it. You can go like if you have a degree and you have like a TOEFL certificate, that's like a certificate to teach English as a foreign language. You can work. Some countries you might make more in Asia. Um, It depends on the country by country, but you can go abroad and survive.
Hmm. Hey, I think we lost you really quick. Yeah. So, uh, I'm waiting for you to. Hey, I think we lost you for a quick second. Yeah, we had lost you for a quick second. You were telling about the actual getting certification so you could teach abroad.
Sure. So yeah, what I was saying was, we. So if you get a TEFL certificate and
Hey,
you have
Derek, your
a.
audio isn't the best right now. I want to be able to make sure that they don't miss any information, brother.
Okay. How about let me? How about now?
Go ahead and speak.
Okay. Is it better now?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying is, some if you have a TEFL certificate, most places they want you to have a degree. Some are more flexible, but if you have a TEFL certificate, you can get a job in a lot of different countries. And so they had openings like in Ethiopia, and so I was getting paid. I had about 500 a month, but they also provided housing, and so I got into it. That's what got me there. Um, there's levels to this, like teaching abroad, and so when I found out how much, like the main international school, how much they were making, I was like, that's for like certified. The same qualifications that you teach in the States, that's the same qualifications will get you in these international schools, like not like the language schools or like the low level international schools. The main ones, those are ones where like the ambassadors will go.
Hey, Derek, do me a favor. Can you leave out and then come back in so we can be able to get you a perfect audio? Okay.
Okay, I'll try that.
All right. And so everybody that joined, I just want to be able to catch y'all up with it, brother. So, pretty much, this is Derek, Expat D, and he's talking about his moves from America to overseas, right? And so initially that move for him was about just exploring and getting out. But just to be able to recap, he said that once he
Yeah.
touched ground in Africa, it was like a warm hug from grandma. Being at grandma's house. So I just want to be able to just share with y'all. But go ahead on, brother.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying is, in terms of international schools, there's levels to it. So the main, like, in every country has main ones where, like the ambassadors would go, people that work for different embassies, more of your upper echelon kids will end up going there. And that I found out, like, if you have a teaching license, basically like the ones that will allow you to teach in the States, that's what qualifies you to teach there. So that really motivated me to go and get the proper certification. And I ended up getting a master's also in the States. And then I ended up, I took I don't know if you know this or not. I actually, I ended up getting my master's. I ended up getting a second master's. But did you know I ended up teaching at Florida Memorial?
No, I didn't know that. So
Yeah,
you
I didn't
taught
know
at
that. Yeah, yeah,
HBCU. Okay.
yeah. I taught there for 4 years. Hmm.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I got to ask this question, man, and I know the answer to it, and I'm going to give a little insight soon. But like in America, right now
Hmm.
in the U.S., it's this big war between black people.
Yeah.
When you go overseas, the notion is when you go overseas that you're really not welcome, right? That they don't see you as black, that you're an outsider. Can you please provide some insight, man? Because I know that my time when I landed in South Africa, one of the first words that I heard was "Welcome home, brother," and that for me was it.
Yeah. It's like it. I've been to Africa 10 times, and so it depends. So I mean I feel comfortable there. There there's there there's some truth to that, and then there's a lie. So it depends on the situation.
All right.
Depends
So
on the
now you got
country.
to tell the truth and the lie now.
Yeah. So, like for example, when I go to Africa, I mean, I feel right at home and I feel welcome. Then it depends on the country. I've been to some countries like, in my opinion, my experience, let's say with Tanzania. Tanzania was like, I felt like they just wanted you for the tourism dollars. You
Okay.
know what I mean? At least where I was. What I notice about countries, it depends. Sometimes if you go to a country and then you go there a second time, you can get a totally different vibe. So it depends. So yeah, I've been to ones where I feel right at home, and I've been to ones where I feel like, I've got like dollars stapled on my clothes.
So which ones did you feel right at home? Uh-oh. And if in the brother here, because I know we lost reception with him right now. He is in the Middle East right now, and so sometimes the reception isn't as best as we're on this call right now. It's morning time for us here on the East Coast, East EST, in the United States, and you're in a different time zone right now. So if y'all hear me fill in sometime, it's because I lost reception with him. But we got this very very impactful conversation. So I see the brother is back. Go ahead on, man.
Mm-hmm. You're asking me a question.
Yeah, I asked you which ones did you feel the most at home? Which ones felt like grandma house? Because I can tell you which ones felt the most
Mm,
at home for me and weird to me.
okay, for me, Ghana. I really like Ghana, I like Kenya, Ethiopia.
Ghana, Kenya, and Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like the most about those places? And just to be able to preface this, right?
Sure.
To create the why I'm asking this question. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're in a environment right now, whether I like it or not, whether I agree with it or not. You know, hey, we're in the states, right? We're both Americans, and we're in an environment whereas we have administration that create division, right? And I know that a lot of black people right now are really looking um, to kind of escape or not escape but look for alternatives, right? To say, hey, this is what I want to be able to do. I may want to go back to the motherland, or I may want to go to the Middle East. I may want to go to Brazil. I may want to go to a place where a lot of people that look like me are the dominant race, right? But I think that what holds people back are two things. Number one, what holds people back is they don't know how they will feel accepted, and number two, they don't know how they will actually be able to make money, right? How they'll be able to support themselves. And so right now, I think it's quite interesting because from my standpoint, right, um, I bought a house in South Africa, resided there. Right now I'm in the States, but I can tell you that if I had my choice, South Africa is a place that I would love forever, right? And I'm not sure if you've been there
Mm-hmm.
before, but it's a very interesting dynamic. Whereas you have Johannesburg, which you will have more people that look like us. It's the everyday grind, right? So you get up, and it's not that you look forward to as far as like your tourism dollars. You get up and you go out and you experience the world, and people will literally come at me and talk as if I'm speaking a language, right? Because most people there are speaking Zulu and Xhosa and all of these different languages, right? That I don't speak, and right now I'm just speaking English, and they would not even be able to recognize the difference between um a native there and an American that has moved over there or has spent some time there, and so I felt welcome there in Johannesburg, right, in Gauteng. And so when I went down to like Cape Town, it was a whole different energy, right? It was a area that was more dominated by Caucasians, right? By people that's Dutch, people that's Afrikaans, right? And so those are the white Africans. It was a different world, different experience. And so when I go out there, yeah, I was seeing more for the tourism dollars more than anything else. Like, oh yeah, look at this American that's just there. So for me, Johannesburg felt more like home. And even Durban, which there's also in South Africa, felt more like home as well. Because that's where I spend most of my time at in South, in the country of South Africa. So, I really want to be able to know from your perspective, like, number one, if people decided that, okay, enough is enough, or I just want to be able to go out and not feel this blatant racism, or the lack of DEI and all these other programs, like, what is the roadmap for them to be able to do that?
For okay, I'd say, and by the way, in my channel, I know this is a shameless plug, Expat D. I do talk about things like this. My
And you did
channel
say
is
expat D. That's
yeah,
EXPAT space
yeah,
D as in David. Okay.
yeah. So I talk about things like that. And I talk a lot about going abroad and doing it in a way that that's sustainable. Because a lot of
Mhm.
people, I've done it before. Like in my earlier years, the first time I went to Africa, the first time not doing it in college, not in study abroad, my goal was to stay long. And I think I stayed, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. And then I had to go back. Just the smallest thing, it wouldn't have been a problem now. I think at that time when I went, I had a problem with transferring money. I think I went to Ghana first. And then what happened was I had an issue with my card. I think they tried to scam me or somehow like scams and things like that. That's a real thing. And so my card got frozen. And so I had no way of getting access to my money.
Ouch.
So that,
So you found
yeah,
yourself
so that made me
in
have
a
to
foreign
go.
country without any money.
Yeah. So the thing was, it's not that I didn't have money, I couldn't get access to it. Like the only way I could have gotten access to the money is like if my parents were like Western Union. It was something where the fees were so high to where it didn't really make sense. And so just to smooth that out, I had to go back. And so now it's like just like in advance checking. You need things like multiple bank accounts. But like for example, sometimes you may go to an ATM machine and what happens if they eat up your card? So it's like you gotta have multiple cards in case that happens. So there's a lot of things that you need, like you're really trying to go abroad, just to prepare for different situations.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that to do it and be sustainable. Now, in terms of country, I would recommend that someone visit first and get an understanding of kind of the lay of the land. First, you want to make sure you really like it. Second, you want to kind of test out things that you might be interested in doing, seeing if it works. Like I'll give you an example. When I first went to Ethiopia, my plan was I was going to get my master's online. And at that time, the internet was super slow. I mean, it would take 30 minutes to check one email.
Wow. Wow.
Not check your email, to check one email. And so I was like, when I saw that, I was like, there's no way I can take classes out here. It's not like that now, but like we're talking like back like 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, it was slow. So like I before going down there, that was my mind. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go down there and take classes and blah blah blah. And nope, that didn't happen. Couldn't happen. So it's good to visit first, just to make, because what I noticed being in different countries and also working in different countries, there's always something that you didn't prepare for, that you're like, oh man, there's some expense or some like thing that you didn't know exists that you have to factor into your budget.
Okay.
And so, um, yeah, every here in Kuwait, I didn't really have that to the extent. Like, I'll give you an example. But before I was here in Kuwait, I was in China, and so I spent about 2 years in China. I was there actually during COVID, So that I had to. That's a whole nother story. I had to relocate and
Hold on. Let me pause you.
yeah.
Wait. There's not many people that look like us, that come from where we come from, that
Hmm.
actually spent time in Africa, China, and the Middle
Hmm.
East and lived in all those places.
Oh, I've
How
lived
was
in
it?
more. I could tell you something more crazy.
Okay,
Awesome.
but
Okay.
and before you do that, I think the hot topic is like
Mhm.
China, right? How was it living in China, man?
Okay. China.
And
Okay.
you was there for 2 years.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I was there for 2 years. China is very advanced. So, um, they were okay. Just the things you could do in China. The thing I liked about China was okay options. So let's say you want to go somewhere,
And what part of China were you
you
in,
can
by the
just.
way?
I was in Beijing.
Okay, Beijing. Okay,
Yeah. So let's say you want to go to wherever you want to go to your favorite restaurant or go downtown or something like that. You could just go out to the street and scan a bike.
okay,
Yeah, you just take your phone, the QR code, and it'll just unlock the bike.
okay.
And then you can ride it, and then you can say, you know what, I don't want to ride the bike anymore. Then you can just park it, lock it, go to the train, and then you
Wow.
take the train.
Okay,
And then like on the train, like as you finish your train, you could just exit the train, and then you can just unlock another bike and just ride the bike.
wow. And that's what's
And
going
then
on
you
in
can,
China, like, and what
yeah,
years was that?
that I was there 2019, like 2018 through 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And was it weird, like giving that I think we was under the Trump presidency at that time, and it was kind of a lot of back and forward. Was it weird for you, being an American in China at that time?
No, what really, not really, what really got weird, and I really wasn't there for that, was really when COVID escalated. That's when it got weird. And I
Okay.
actually got locked out. So funny thing, when that took place, that was during Chinese New Year.
Okay.
And then so during Chinese New Year, I ended up going back to California to visit my family, and I was locked. I never got back in.
Oh, like ever?
No. So basically all my stuff, like I left with like one suitcase. I was just supposed to visit my parents for like a couple of weeks. And that ended up turning into like 6 months, something like that,
Wow.
or longer. Yeah. So I like all my stuff, I had to just basically abandon it. Like they put it in storage facility, but I could never get back into China, and just got to a point where I was just like, you know what? Like all my son's clothes was too small. So I was like, whatever.
So
It got to a
so
point where it wasn't worth
so how
it.
you get locked out of China? Like how that happened?
So no, what happened was like because COVID.
Oh,
Yeah, so basically when I left, it was just starting to break out. And so I was like the first. Like I was the first when like they started like I remember they started like quarantining classes. And I was like, that's weird. Like, why does this class not have to leave? Like
mm,
there's classes, there's like, okay, these students like they can't leave the school. They have to stay in their class. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Okay. And then like we started hearing a little bit about, at that time, I started hearing a little bit about COVID little by little. And it was crazy because I ended up going to America and they didn't really care anything about it. And I was like, yeah, I'll tell you why I knew it was big. Because what I know about, I'm not getting into conspiracy theories, but what I know about Chinese New Year is that you have so many people living in China. Everybody travels during Chinese New Year. Everybody travels.
okay.
And so I'm just saying, if a disease were to break out during Chinese New Year, it's going to spread the whole world.
Wow.
because and like the whole thing shuts down. China.
Oh, because there's so many
Everybody
people in
travels from
China.
Chinese New Year. Yeah, everything. So I knew during Chinese New Year, I was like, it can get out of hand. And sure enough, like it turned into we couldn't get back into our plane. Like we couldn't get a flight anymore. It turned like kind of like to a no-fly zone.
Wow.
And basically it stayed that way. I ended up getting another and basically my stuff there, and it just got to a point where it's like, why get it? You know, it became like worth. Yeah, at that point, I didn't really need a lot of that stuff
Yes.
anymore. Besides clothes, and I got more clothes and stuff. So
Okay. I'm interested in that, and I know a lot of my fans are they interested as well. And thank you all for tuning in for Terrell Clayton Media. I'm here with Expat D. Make sure that y'all like and subscribe his page as well. Follow. He gave a lot of great tools about living outside of the U.S. I think a lot of people are interested in hearing about their technology, man, because you mentioned, you were able to get a bike anywhere, go to the train station, get another bike, lock it up, park. What are some of the other technology advances, man, that somebody like me wouldn't even really know about?
okay, I'll tell you this. Okay, this is what I found interesting. You can take a train. Okay, you can order. Let's say if there's a stop on the train, like the bullet train, you can order KFC to your seat. Like the stop will open up, right? Let's say you go to whatever stop on the train, the doors are open, someone will run in, give you KFC and run off.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
so you could be able to say, okay, well, my stop, I have a stop that's 15 minutes away. I can order KFC for that stop 15 minutes away. Somebody run on the train, give me my food, and go back and get off the train.
Yes. Yep.
I got to hear more. I got to
To
hear
your
more,
to
man.
your seat. Right. See. So yeah, that's one thing. They were far ahead with. Okay, this is the thing. Okay, I'll tell you. They were farther ahead with like Uber Eats and all that. They've been doing that a long time. So any type of like food delivery stuff, that's big. One, yes, are you familiar with WeChat?
WeChat. No.
Basically, it's like it's like WhatsApp on steroids.
Okay.
So basically, you don't even need a. I don't even carry a wallet because the way that they've developed, you know how you have like Apple Pay and Samsung Pay.
Yes.
That is extremely developed.
Okay.
So for example, all you need is your phone. So if you go anywhere and you want to order something, even if you go like do groceries, or even if you go to like the equivalent to like a flea market, all you need is a phone. You just scan the QR code and pay.
Wow.
So I like the one thing I found weird is when I left China, like just to visit other places, I thought it was weird that I actually had to carry a wallet
Mm.
and you had to deal with like physical money. I'm just used to
Okay.
just scanning it.
Okay. And did you also
Everybody.
teach in China as well?
Yeah, yeah, I taught China. Mhm.
Okay. And what would you teach him like specifically?
Oh, I did physical education.
Physical education. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things that really been on my mind lately is because I signed my daughter up for a robotics AI class just this week, right? And
Okay.
my daughter is, she's young, right? Under 10 years old. And
Okay.
she did the robotics class and she was okay, right? You could tell that the teacher was good, and the teacher was a lady that was from India, but she resided in the UK. You could tell that she was good, but she was also like, this child isn't up to par. Like she's very slow, right? And so after the
Mhm.
class, someone asked someone in that school. They asked, how did the child do? And she said she's okay. And my question was, well, when do kids when do kids actually start learning about this AI? And her response was, well, normally they start in at 5 years old. And it really kicked my butt to be able to think about that, because I'm like, in the US, there's not many undergraduate or even graduate programs. And when you talk about grammar school, high school, middle school, elementary school in the US, forget about it. Unless you're like in some top school, you're not really
Mm.
getting access to learning about AI at an early stage. And so right now, I know that you're in Kuwait, right? You're teaching in Kuwait.
Mhm.
You taught in China.
Right. Yep.
How are these kids really learning? And what is their level of learning AI where they can actually compete? And what age are they starting at? And how is that world?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I just read an article earlier today, and it was saying like China is making it mandatory that starting by age 6, that the kids need to learn AI. I'm not, like, I deal right now with high school, so I'm not sure how young, but I'll tell you this. This is my 4th year teaching here in Kuwait, and I
Okay.
do notice that
Oh, I think I lost you really quick. Okay.
it changes, like how you have to teach.
You can you repeat that? You say that this is your 4th year teaching in Kuwait, and you got paused. It's okay, because we're
Oh,
I'm
sure.
in the United
I,
States and you're in Kuwait right now, so sometimes the reception
sure.
isn't the best. But go ahead.
Right. So I teach high school. And so I'm noticing that it's much different. Like, their students using AI, and it changes the way you have to teach also. So they're using it, and they're using it at a level that they didn't 2 and 3 years ago. So it's definitely getting more and more widely used, and there's more things that you can do with AI in the classroom.
Okay, and for people who don't know, and I know that Kauai is right next to is bridged between Saudi Arabia and what's the other neighboring country to the other side? Can you help me out?
What's the first one that you
Saudi
said?
Arabia. Saudi Arabia.
It's kind of pausing on my
Oh,
end.
okay. I apologize. So I say
Yeah, Saudi Arabia and Iran.
okay, in Iraq, right? And so, what is the technology like over there, as far as like just everyday technology, like you was kind of explaining in China?
Well, sure, it's not China, but I mean, I'll say this: it's in terms of coming from America here. This has been the smoothest transition, just in terms of like convenience. I mean, China is convenient, but I'll give a caveat. You'd be surprised how much English is not spoken in China.
How much English is not spoken in China?
Yeah, like,
Okay,
'cause that more people usually speak English in the capital, and it was like I it they spoke
okay,
Chinese. Even places like, when I was there, they had a Walmart. Okay, you'd think they speak English at Walmart, right?
okay.
No, they don't speak English at Walmart.
Wow. Well,
You're probably like, they don't speak English at Walmart either, huh?
yes. Let me ask you this, right? And you're breaking up, and you know,
But
you were saying
go
something
ahead.
about English, man, and you broke up. What was the point that you were making?
Um, in Walmart in China, they didn't speak
Yeah,
English,
and I know you was
and you would
comparing
think
that to
a
like
store.
Hialeah in Miami.
Yeah, I was saying, but they don't speak English in Hialeah at Walmart either, huh?
Yeah, no, they definitely don't.
In Miami.
They definitely don't. And if you're from Miami, if you know, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
even effort to be able to try. I
right.
I, I
But
think we
but just to answer your question, it's very like, okay, here in Kuwait, in terms of, I know this is not really much with technology, but it's just more with like just similarities. I mean, like all the restaurants, a good majority that you'll see in the States, they have in Kuwait.
Okay.
I mean, they just down the street. Well, maybe a couple exits down the highway, they opened up Popeyes.
Okay.
So they got Popeyes chicken. They got, matter of fact, I think last week, I think they
Hold on. So
opened
you telling me
Wingstop.
that? So you telling me black and brown people really like chicken, huh? That what you trying to tell me?
Yeah, right.
Because
They
if
like it. It's
Popeyes
good.
get all the way over there in Kuwait, then that's something else.
It's the real thing, man. It's a real thing. Yes, it tastes like the States. So
Okay.
it's legit. I just had like I had in Turkey, and it was like when I had Popeyes in Turkey, it wasn't the same.
Okay.
But anyway, um, they it wasn't the same. But so they have a lot. They have Texas Roadhouse, Outback Steakhouse, Cheesecake Factory. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, all that. It's like I find myself doing what I normally do in the States. I find myself doing very similar things here.
Okay.
So in comparison to China is like you would find yourself missing certain things from the States to the point where you can get homesick. Here, I barely even notice.
Wow.
Barely notice. Yeah.
So I have a question because you told me that you are
Mhm.
actually earning money as a teacher in Kuwait in the dinari. Is that how you say the currency?
In Kuwaiti dinar? Yeah.
Kuwait dinar, right? Kuwaiti dinar. I didn't realize that the Kuwaiti dinar was actually had more value than the US dollar.
Yeah, it does. It's the number one currency in the world.
Yeah, I seen this like one Kuwaiti dinar was worth like 35 cents to the US dollar. Or you may have like you need like so in comparison you need like 3 US dollars just to be able to have one dinar,
Correct. That's correct.
right? And then so for you,
Mhm.
you can be able to work over there, save your money, come over to the United States and really rack up, and really live a great quality of life.
Sort of. I'll give a caveat to that.
Okay.
Um, this is what a lot of people don't understand. That I talked about this a little bit on my channel. What a lot of people don't understand, especially when they choose to move abroad, is it's not really the dollar amount. So I'll give an example. I have a colleague of mine, and they left the school I was teaching at, and they moved to Singapore.
Okay.
And what attracted them is they're like, oh, we're gonna be in Singapore. The salary's like 120,000 a year. Or it was something. It was over 100,000 a year. And the thing about it was they're not taking into account it may cost 6,000 a month to rent an apartment. So it's more expensive out in Singapore. So here it's not dollar amount. It's the fact that you're not taxed. So I don't have to pay taxes here. Um, this particular situation, I don't have to pay housing. I don't have to pay medical insurance. So there's so many things. I don't have to pay dental. There's so many things that I
Are
don't have
all of
to
those things
pay.
afforded to you through your job, or they're just afforded to
Yeah,
you by
through,
living there? Okay.
through my job, I don't have to pay any bill. The only bill I don't have to pay water. I don't have to pay electricity. I don't have to pay none of that. The only thing I have to pay is my car. I had to buy a car and like cell phone internet.
Okay.
That's it. Like being a
Okay.
teenager.
Can you ever see it?
Now, and I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Gas for the car, I can fill my tank up for about $10.
Okay. Is it because you're close to Saudi Arabia? That is that close that you
No,
know?
well, Kuwait. Here's the thing: it's cheaper. The gas is cheaper in Kuwait than I just came back from Saudi Arabia. I was actually there day before yesterday. I was actually going to Qatar, but I take a road trip, and I could be in Dammam. Dammam is like a coastal city in Saudi Arabia. I can get there about half a tank of gas, so I can get
Okay.
there for about $6.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
and
Can you?
yeah. Hmm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so but the gas in Saudi Arabia is actually almost twice the price as it is in Kuwait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Can you ever see yourself moving back to the States?
I mean, I'll put you like this, and this I feel like this is the right mentality to have. I never rule out anything. I don't want to, but I find that like I don't like to have a mentality abroad that makes you feel like you cut off something. I think and I'll tell you what, the thing I dislike right now about the States, it doesn't sound as cool as it did when I first started. Like
Mm.
I've been doing this on and off since like teaching abroad. I've been doing it on and off since 2005.
Okay.
And I remember back then, it was like people looked at the States like, oh, like it was for anyone to say you wanted to leave the States, it was so taboo. Like nobody was talking about leaving the States back then.
Okay.
You know, and they look at me like I was crazy. Now, when I mention like that I live in another country, people are like, "Yeah, oof, I understand. I might be next." And I'm just like, "Whoa!" Like I never used to hear anyone say that, 10 plus years ago. And it's like now I feel like I'm kind of ahead of the game on that. But it's it. I find it more fun when you look back at your home country and it's like it's popping and everything. It feels good to like have a place to go back to that's great. I don't really like to hear people like struggling in the States and things like that. But I look at this like everything is situational. The reason why I'm abroad is because I have
Okay.
social life. I get
Oh, I think we lost you for a quick second. You're back.
no.
Hey, if you
Yeah.
don't
So what I
mind,
was
go ahead and
saying
leave out and come back in, so that they can be able to hear you well. Okay. So,
can you hear me now?
somewhat is a little breakup, and it sounds very, very low. So I just want to be able to make sure that
Okay.
that everybody get this information. And thank you everybody for staying tuned and staying in good. Can you hear me well now? All right. And so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a part two of this because this is a great conversation from my brother Expat D. Again, him and I went to school, and I don't want to age myself, but we went to school together, college together, 22, 23 years ago, and he kind of got out of the U.S., But I think you're back.
Yeah. I changed my Wi-Fi, so hopefully this will be better.
Okay, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a part two of this conversation. How does it sound to you?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure that you go to his page, Expat D, EXPAT D. And thank you for tuning in to Terrell Clayton Media. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And we'll be back with part two. Thank y'all.